Yeah, I know I said I was going to do this next month, but some of the higher ups have twisted my arm, and one of you have provided me with a translation of this magazine article, so you know what? What the hey? Still, I did hold off on this for a couple of days, both so that the word of this magazine article could spread out a little more, and also to let my usual Doremi video breathe a little. Still, I will give one last warning here. If you still want to wait to learn more about the 2021 Precure season, like maybe after Christmas, then click off now. We all good? Okay then, first some general thoughts. This Tropical Rouge team is a very colorful team to say the least. Not all of it entirely works for me, but I also wouldn't say there's any truly weak designs here, for the cures at least. Yeah, don't worry, we'll get to that. But on that note, let's go through the cures individually, starting with the leader, Manatsu Natsumi. Jeez, try saying that 10 times fast. Manatsu Natsumi, Manatsu Natsumi, Manatsu Natsumi, Manatsu... Turned to Arnold there for a second. She's a redhead with a single side ponytail and a seashell necklace, which we can all guess is going to have some kind of big plot significance. She's one of the two cures of this team with clearly open shoulders, obviously to stay cool in the tropical weather, of course signifying an outgoing, sporty image for our lead character, appropriate, and it works well. Not too crazy on the multiple bangs around her forehead, those are just kind of there, and I think are more meant to serve as a part of her cure design. Speaking of which, considering that her name means midsummer, of course her cure persona would be named Cure Oberon. Nah, of course, it's summer, though you have to admit, that's kind of a cool name. Anyway, yeah, this is what I kind of meant when I said the colorfulness doesn't completely work for me. Though before that, yes, as many have pointed out, she's not exactly a pink cure. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of that color in her outfit and hair, but not that much more than, say, Nagisa, and last I checked, she wasn't called Cure Pink. You could still make the argument that she's a pink, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree. But still, as a cure named Summer, I do think it's a little more appropriate to consider her a white to represent that big ball of gas in the sky. Back to the general design, I do like this sailor outfit that takes more to the traditional sense of a sailor than that. Fingerless gloves are also a nice touch for a fighter. Plus, they're really useful for model kit making. And the bows on her wrists and heels link for a nice accent. However, the hair, even more than in her civilian form, is kind of throwing me off. Of course, like any cure, it got huge in this case to like Super Saiyan 3 levels, complete with the blondness. Adding that little pink streak to remind us that she's the leader, and that would be just about right for me. So of course, they kind of overdo it again with those bangs, which have now multiplied into full-on Ahoge of varying colors. This girl doesn't need just one Ahoge, she needs all the Ahoge. But yeah, the fact that she has 3 different colors in her hair is a little distracting. Again, I still like the outfit and the pink streak in the largest portion of her ponytail, it's just that, remember Summer, less is more, less is more. Moving on to the likely second in command, we have Sango Suzumura, who, based on that hair, at least from this magazine scan, you'd think she'd be the blue of this team, but nope, no blue here for a team that's likely going to have a lot of water battles. Maybe they'll get one as a 6th ranger, but come on guys, get on the ball. Still, I digress. Sango sports some twin tails that gives off a bit more of a prim and proper vibe than her teammates. She also has 3 hair accessories, don't know why you would need that many, though maybe that's meant to compensate for her one little Ahoge, because Manatsu is hogging all the Ahoges as I said. Still, a nice design that gives off a bit of a rich girl vibe. Also, she seems to be wearing a little flower ring on her left middle finger. Probably has nothing to do with her transformation, but like Manatsu's shell necklace, it likely has some sort of character-specific significance. Speaking of which, her Precure alias is just as on the nose as her leader, as Sango just means coral. Never really seen a purple coral myself, but still, that's a nice shade. The naval sailor design is arguably the most prominent with her thanks to that hat that's probably my favorite part of this design. Other things I kind of like include the almost symmetrical design of her outfit bar the hat and compact case. And of course, the Cure happy twin tails make for a good visual without being too distracting. Unfortunately, her Ahoge remains pretty much the same because her boss has dibs on all of that. Still, overall, really good and fairly intricate design. Next up, we have Minori Ichinose. Yeah, Kokat, you kind of missed that one kanji there. The magazine, unfortunately, ended up making the background almost the same color as her dress, making it look like she's been chroma keyed out. Puh, amateurs. You're never supposed to put a green object in front of a green screen. By the way, y'all want to see my Christmas tree? Anyway, from what we can make out, we've got a cute, kind of plain looking Four Eyes, though to be fair, that's probably by design. I'm guessing she's supposed to be the calm, more reserved kind of yellow after Hinata consumed a decade's worth of coffee over the course of her show's run. It is a pity we can't make out more of her, but I don't think we need to just get a general sense of her character. Minori's Precure identity is thankfully not as on the nose as the previous two, and if you've been watching Healing Good, you should be familiar with her name. In this case, it's the fruit that kind of paralyzes your tongue, the papaya. Personally, I'm more into pineapples myself, but I guess that position has been filled. Anyway, aside from the fruit-shaped hair, I would say her design kind of reminds me a lot of Cure Mofuruun. I'm guessing Toei figured that if they can't work out the trademark issues with that character, they may as well use elements of that design. Definitely a good call, as that is a good design for a mellow yellow of the team. I also like how the papaya hair extends out a little. I mean, last I checked, that fruit doesn't have roots, but still, it's a nice way of breaking up her design. Last and certainly not least, we have Asuka Takizawa. And to go with the awesome name of a double champion, we get my favorite design. Seriously, my friends and I love this design to the point that one of them said that he was already standing for her even though the series isn't out yet. And while I wouldn't go that far, I do like that they're clearly making her out to be the eldest of this team by making her taller, giving her a bit more mature attire, and that choker is a nice touch. I will agree with my friend that Akira should take fashion advice from her both in terms of her civilian form plus her Precure form. Her Precure name thankfully doesn't really reference her real name at all, and it's just Flamingo. That pretty much confirms this doesn't take place in Hawaii, because outside of maybe the Honolulu Zoo, we don't have any local species of the tropical bird. That aside, this is a great design. Interestingly, her hair isn't that much different from her civilian form because you really can't top perfection. Yes, she does also have the multicolored strands like Manatsu, but I think it blends better with her since blue and reddish colors complement each other. And of course, for the bird motif, you gotta have plenty of feathers, which are well distributed across this outfit with her shoulders and that hairpin. And hey, since flamingos usually take to the wires, why not give her some, fishnet stockings? Okay, between this and Liko's garter belt, I'm a little bit concerned about the designers of this franchise. Regardless, it still goes well with an amazing costume. If I were to rank our cures considering both their civilian and Precure forms, I would obviously put Asuka on number 1, 2 for Sango, 3 for Manatsu, and 4 for Minori. Again, I think all of these designs are at least very good. I just have a few nitpicks here and there, like too many Ahoge. Oh, and yeah, then there's that little issue that these characters in this tropical setting are a little bit on the pale side.
Why are they white?
Nothing deal-breaking, as of course, I'm not necessarily saying they're required to have someone of, say, Polynesian descent or something, but from a practical standpoint, I do raise an eyebrow and ask, how come y'all don't have tans? Like, ethnically, I'm full-blooded Japanese, but if I were to go outside for a few hours, you better believe I'm gonna come home with at least some different colored shoulders. I mean, at least this girl probably has genetic reasons why she doesn't develop a tan. Oh yeah, in case you're wondering about this last girl, who another one of my friends accurately pointed out, she kind of looks like Hana's second daughter. She's not a cure, as you can tell by the lack of those fingerless gloves, and will likely serve as mission control for this team. She does technically have a transformation, but just into her true form of a mermaid, which aside from the fins, mostly involves just a palette swap. Still, a great design regardless, that gets across that yes, this is a fish girl with her outfit basically being a swimsuit. Though, I do wonder, how many of her clan brethren has she slayed for those accessories? Oh, and as for her name, it's Laura, which is likely short for, or at least in reference to, Lorelei, a character from German folklore who was basically a siren that lured men into crashing their ships into a rock of the same name on the Rhine River. And she's going to be one of the protagonists of this season. Heel turn confirmed already? I kid, as there is a little more to the story in that Lorelei was originally a woman whose lover never returned to her as she waited for him on a rock near the ocean. Succumbing to her depression, she leaped off the rock to her death and became the vengeful siren. I think Japanese writers really ended up clinging to this story for its similarities to the legend of Kiyohime, another tragic maiden who became an aquatic monster because of a broken heart. As a result, Lorelei has been referenced a lot in anime, from Gundam X, Mazinger, Monster Musume, Pokemon, well, no, her name was Kana in the original Japanese, though the Ghastly episode from season 1 might have been referencing the legend. And while I doubt the show will reference that entire legend, I do appreciate when this franchise brings in some deeper real-life lore like this. Seriously, look up Lorelei, it's fascinating stuff. What isn't fascinating and kind of killing my buzz is this thing. Now, to be fair, we are coming off a season with some of the best designed and developed mascot characters in the entire franchise, so it's not entirely fair to compare. But come on, that's just a white seal with hearts on its head. Whoop-de-doo! Like, I could just Photoshop those off and boom, you got a plain old seal. It's kind of cute, don't get me wrong, but it's also just so underwhelming, especially amongst this literally colorful cast of characters. Not to mention, it kind of reminds me of a certain cult leader, but let's not pass judgment just yet. Last up, let's just quickly go over the accessories we can see here. Obviously, for a team with a tagline that says they get their power from makeup, we're back to using compacts as transformation trinkets. Standard fare, and obviously we need to see the interior of these things to pass any significant judgment. Lorelei looks like she's gonna get her own personal tablet. I wonder if the real toy is gonna be waterproof. And last we get what appears to be the titular Rouge, and oh geez, I think even Ahoge is a little envious of that thing. Though, going by this scan that one of my friends sent, it looks like it's going to have another function. Please, Precure, will you stop trying to copy the success of Symphogear? I mean, you've had most of their cast on your roster so far, isn't that enough? And that's pretty much all I have to say. Overall, some really good designs for the Cures, a nice looking side character with possibly some interesting lore attached to her, and just another mascot character. I will admit though, I'm probably not quite as excited as others because of this. This series will start airing on the tail end of February on the 28th, confirming that with its upcoming New Year's break, Healing Good is going to end with 45 episodes. Kinda sad it has to end with the lowest episode count due to the pandemic, but judging by the upcoming episode titles, they're at least going to try and wrap things up in a timely fashion. Still, what do y'all think about this new season? Does Manatsu have too many, or not enough Ahoge? You think Lara is gonna drag a few poor souls down into the depths with her? Feel free to comment below. Until next time though, for now my friends, happy holidays, and always remember to wear your suntan even in the winter.